Welcome to That's a Word podcast with Marcia and Gino. I am Gino Morrow.
And I'm Marcia Williams Cromer.
And we begin each conversation with intention, one word at a time. As always, let's get right into it. Marcia, speak your word.
Hey, Gino. And I have a great word today. As always, peace, peace, peace. My word is hegemony, and it is a noun. It refers to dominance or leadership by one group over others, often in a political, cultural, economic, or ideological sense. Simple definition. Hegemony is when one power doesn't just rule by force, but shapes what people believe is normal, acceptable, or inevitable.
Damn.
It operates subtly, often without people realizing they are being influenced. Deeper meaning. The concept is strongly associated with the Italian thinker Antonio Gramsci, who explained that true power comes not just from control, but from influencing culture, values, and ideas. In this way, people may consent to systems that actually disadvantage them.
Let's set a baseline. Did you get a spelling for hegemony? Can we get the spelling for hegemony?
Yes, Hegemony. Hegemony.
Sounds to me like social engineering or predictive programming, or it sounds to me like oppression.
Yeah, all three of those things actually. But you know, what it encompasses for me is intention. Yeah, it's developed. Hegemony is something that is able to happen because a system is intentionally willing that. Not only willing it, but doing the work over time to instill these ideas and beliefs that serve them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
We live in it. We live in it right now today, Gino.
Because and on multiple levels, on a national level and an international level, you can see it playing out. On a national level, something we're so familiar with, we experience it every day.
Every day.
It was one of the first words that we had in our episodes. It was racism. Like white dominance is so we never speak of it in the context of white dominance, but every day we are forced to go out into the world and navigate ideologies, cultural values, and beliefs based on someone else's system that has been imposed on us. And our ability to influence it is minimized, but to their benefit. So even though we can influence it, they benefit. For example, yeah, we influence culture in every way.
Right. Absolutely.
Music, dance, sports,
literature,
politics, even in education. We do it all different.
Engineering.
Yep. And yet they benefit, like when it comes to drawing in resources, profiting off of it. We benefit least from it.
Yeah, and just think about the dynamics of that, though, that you create something that changes the world, and because you use maybe some resources that belong to your oppressor, they basically own your intellectual property. They own your idea. And then you, as we move forward in decades after decades and centuries and centuries, we own that mindset that says when you go into their world, you act in such a way that they will not respect you, but accept you. So that now maybe you're not out in a field working, but you are in a field working.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I shared with you earlier this week about an opportunity that arose and that I plan on taken advantage of. I'm going out to Atlanta, but Tasha and I, we were talking about the possibility of me working with this individual in his company,
Mm-hmm.
and the excitement for me was like, I won't have to code switch. I could
I
be
know. I know.
absolutely myself. And I bring up code switching because when we talk about hegemony and cultural influence and working in the field,
Right.
even though slavery doesn't exist, it's the stress of knowing that when you walk into their spaces, you cannot take yourself 100%. You have to take a imitation of yourself that's palatable
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nothing you do is ever palatable.
Right. Right. And it's just that feeling of being seen, being known, when you have the opportunity to work for someone that's in your culture, that understands why you say certain things the way you say them, or move in the world the way you do. It is freeing. It is freeing to have, the ability, as I said to a manager of mine not long ago, because she was so cool. I love being able to show up as my whole self to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that has not always been the situation.
That must be
And we talked about it before, how you walk into the glass door,
mm-hmm.
and as soon as the door opens and closes behind you, you are instinctively aware that now you perform and move in a way that is palatable to your oppressor, basically.
Yeah. And there are so many nuances to it. I'll share a quick story with you. I am so aware of people's perception of me, and more specifically, white people's perception of me. I'm hypersensitive to it. When I walk into a store, I walk with very clear intention.
Mm-hmm.
I walk, my hands are always visible. I don't hold anything in a place that looks like I'm concealing anything. I'm hypersensitive to how I might be perceived so that I don't come off on camera or in person as if I'm doing something criminal or illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really like a sickness. That's not like a healthy place to
No,
be in. That's
no.
like
That's
that's like
survival, my
reason
friend.
myself. Yeah.
That's survival, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Because you know what? You leave your house in the morning in a world that doesn't, embrace you. And at the end of the day, we just want to get home.
Yeah.
We just want to get back home. And, we don't want to cause anybody any problems. But at the same time, you a freaking problem to me right now. You're my problem.
That's
Okay.
right.
Your assumptions of me that you need to have so that intellectually you feel safe somehow.
Yeah.
I can't get with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think we see those byproducts as the outcome of hegemony. Like when we look at American culture and the impact of European or white hegemony on us or on the entire country, we find that most people, and I've heard this not just from people in black, culture, but Indian, Asian, for those who have a level of self-awareness and speak candidly about it, they talk about that proximity to whiteness and what it means to be close to white, which often means sacrificing your own cultural values and beliefs and tendencies and norms and practices to assimilate or show that you're willing to mirror their values and beliefs and practices as it offers them some degree of comfort. So if that's what hegemony is, and that's the byproduct of it, what good is it?
It's toxic. It's just toxic.
Yeah.
I remember being a young person working in corporate America, and the first time I was maybe at, around the boardroom table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was freaking out, and I was like, "Oh my God, okay." Like, you take notes, and you present yourself such way, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, listen to these people talk, and I thought, oh my God, I must be really simple-minded because I cannot understand anything they're saying. And
Mm.
then I'm listening really like intentional listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad and mentor, I called my dad and I was telling him about this meeting that I was in. I was like, God, I couldn't understand anything they were saying. I got to really focus and work hard. And my dad said, they're probably not talking about nothing.
Cut and dry. Keep it.
Exactly. And when I received that loving message, right?
Right.
And went back into that same room, same environment with that mindset, I was like, oh man, these people that talk about nothing. And then it gave me the confidence at that point to do what you paying me to do, right? And
Right.
that is to give you my honest opinion.
Right. Right. That's funny. I've had to go through that, and I think that may be one of the obstacles that we all face as people of color in corporate America, is that the trial to see if you will submit is to take you through these practices that make you feel like an outsider. How much are you going to try and feel like an insider? How?
Right.
Because I've been in those meetings. I've been in those meetings where like I'm like, man, well, that sounds far more sophisticated than my skill or experience will allow me to comprehend. Just to realize it ain't produced shit.
No. And you know what? And it's just buzzwords, phrase words that they latch on to. And now everybody's using them, but they absolutely mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my word. That is my word, Gino. Hegemony.
Well, in the context of warfare, though, I'm still on hegemony.
Okay, go for it.
In the context of warfare, those practices are a way of securing hegemony, because what it's really doing is it's throwing you off your cultural center and forcing you to comply.
Well, and not only just, to your point, correct. But while in throwing you off your cultural center, you're also throwing me off my family center. You're throwing me off my environmental center. So those things that I could be growing and developing, now I'm distracted from that.
Yeah.
But not for my reasons, but for your reasons.
Right.
And that's intentional.
Yeah. And then of course we could always go into global hegemony, because we're watching powers go, you know what? We ain't taking y'all shit no more. We don't want it. We ain't having it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I wonder what the antonym for hegemony is. I'm sorry to throw that on you. Maybe it's another conversation for another day, but
no, I can look it up. Hold on.
Okay.
No, you know what? Hey, another opportunity for some knowledge. And you want which version of it?
The antonym, the opposite of hegemony.
Subordination, weakness, and impotence. That's messed up. That's messed up, my brother. It represents a lack of control, submission to authority, or resistance to established power.
So if you fall under a hegemony or a culture that has, I don't know, I might be using the word improperly or out of context, but a culture that has the hegemony over other cultures, you are basically impotent.
You're impotent. Yes.
Who wants to be that?
And hey, and subordinate. Okay. I mean, no. But you know what? And those people who have been in a position to have hegemony over others will do whatever they have to do, legal or not, to not feel or be placed in it. That's why the resistance is so strong.
Right.
Yeah, that's why they will do anything not to find themselves in that situation. That is some intentional stuff right there.
Ooh, that's some spiritual stuff right there.
Yeah, it
What
is.
in you that drives that?
Yep, true that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Marcia. Hegemony. Got it in my bag of words now.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, my word, eel, is you probably heard it used as an insult, and a way to dismiss somebody or label and discredit people. But my word is cantankerous. Cantankerous, and that's spelled Cantankerous. And it's an adjective, and it means bad-tempered, argumentative, difficult, quarrelsome, hard to deal with. At least that's what the dictionary says. But me, if you've been observing my patterns, I like to see, like, okay, well, what's the negative connotation of a word, and then how can that also be used in a positive way, which is why I wanted to go to the antonym of hegemony, because sometimes we find something that, even though the word seems like it's positive, the antonym may show you that, oh, wait, this can be looked at from both perspectives and give you a balance.
But with my word, I think both are negative, honestly.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I only say that to say, like, so cantankerous, like, again, the definition: bad-tempered, argumentative, difficult, quarrelsome. However, is that always negative? Like, I mean, argumentative is not necessarily negative, depending on the position you hold in an argument. It may just be a clarifying position that you stand on.
Well, here's a question I have. Have you ever been called cantankerous?
I ain't never been called cantankerous. I would have probably took it as a compliment.
Well, I have been called that. And while I didn't take it as a compliment, the person or persons delivering the message were people who loved me. And I saw it as something that, you know, as a little kid, especially, you know, to be called cantankerous. And I probably was. I was probably all those things and matched that definition completely. However, to your point, does that mean that it's negative? I mean, that word may identify a behavior or a personality, but does it have to be negative? I think you can gain strength from having those characteristics.
I agree. And for me, it's always a matter of balance. Like, you can, it's like, is using anything in moderation. If you take on them characteristics in moderation or excessively, then you might be an annoying prick.
Yeah.
You know, but if you take on them characteristics moderately, meaning you simply adapt them to scrutinize, evaluate, thoroughly assess, then a person who takes the opposite position of those qualities may look at you as cantankerous, and that's their, you know, they can, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
You know what's funny? I remember hearing that word, and then later, like in Westerns or something, you know, that was something that was aligned with a person who was, you know, over the top, or you know, maybe high spirited, something like that. So, you know, I thought, wow, well, you know, I'm like the people, you know, on the TV or whatever. So that maybe that's a good thing. So, you know, but I know that the only reason it seemed positive is because that character was in a key role and really, you know, was a good person. You know, maybe had some cantankerous behavior, but was still a good person.
Yeah. Well, you have the benefit of at least being called cantankerous. I had no real association to the word, and honestly, in full transparency, the reason why I chose the word is because, okay, my mind has a tendency of collecting words that I don't know what they mean. But they capture my interest. Maybe it's how it flows off your tongue. Maybe it's how it sounds together.
Yes.
And once I chose persnickety as one of my words, cantankerous was one of them floating words. They
I
sound
know, right?
similar. I wonder what that means.
And it's so funny because now that we've been doing the podcast, it is so cool. I literally have like a running list of words now, you
Yeah.
know, and I'll hear them in random places. And to your point, it sounds interesting, that word. And so I want to go and look it up if it's a word that I haven't used or haven't used in a while. But just to understand and make sure that I know what that word means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cantankerous is one I have not heard in a while, though.
Yeah. And again, if someone called me cantankerous, I probably would have taken it as a compliment. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty deep.
Yeah, but it could be. Like we said before, it does not have to have a negative connotation.
Right. And I think I'm cantankerous. I'm not bad tempered, so you know I can.
No, I'm not bad tempered either, but a lot of the other qualities at times, definitely, I can resonate with that.
I used to be extremely argumentative.
Really?
Extremely argumentative.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, and I ain't trying to blame.
Now, are we saying argumentative or a person that likes to debate?
Oh, I love to debate.
Okay, so I would say I'm a person that loves to debate. I wouldn't say I'm argumentative because I'm really not that confrontational. Because I try so hard to, you know, hit the mark on whatever I'm doing. And I feel like at the point it's not enough, then I put in all the energy. I'm putting into that now. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just bounce on that one. But I will do the work. I will do my due diligence. And when it's not received in such a way to say, oh my God, that was good, I appreciate that, that's what I needed, and it's like maybe totally minimized or something, and I'm like, okay, then work unneeded, it's work that's not needed at this point.
I want to thank you for that, because now I'm going to readjust my position on that.
Okay.
Maybe I wasn't extremely argumentative. I love a good debate, and I'm highly passionate about it. So I interpreted that as argumentative simply because of how oftentimes the debates would escalate into a passion.
Exactly. And that is completely natural and should happen. But it is your mind, your ideas, because you know how we are. We start every conversation with a word and intention. But even off camera, we can just log on and talk for 20, 30 minutes over something that, happened to me this week or happened to you. And it's just debating, because I admire your knowledge and your temperament. And I know that any debate with you is coming from a place of trust, right? We've never had it to escalate to that point that we're arguing, but that is definitely a natural outcome of debate.
Right. And great point. Because as adults, I think overall, like me debating as an adult versus me debating as, let's just say, a college student, two different motives behind it. As an adult, it's an attempt to dig to the truth and really find a position that's embedded within truth. Whereas when I was in college, that shit was about winning most of the time.
Winning. You just wanted to win. Absolutely. I so get that.
Yeah. And in those instances, it would escalate with the full fury and fire of, now I got to kick your ass. So argument to pursue, or follow that, because that's what the motive behind it was. It was like, okay, I gotta win now.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm gonna tell you, I used to love debating so much, I would invite Jehovah's Witnesses into my house. And I remember when I first got out of college and got my
first... Oh, that's hilarious.
For real. And so, true story. So I used to date a young lady in high school who was Jehovah's Witness, and I used to believe that I was going to become one. I mean, I was going to the Kingdom Hall and studying the Watchtower and everything. God assured me that that was not my path, and it took heartbreak to understand that.
Right.
Nonetheless, I still followed the faith for a while when I got into college. I made friends at a Kingdom Hall, particularly one brother who, man, I love this guy. His name is Danny. And he lived in the city of Dunkirk, and he would come and visit me at the college, man. And then the brother got disfellowshipped from the Jehovah's Witness church because he had a baby out of wedlock with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to a small college. It's a university now, but it's called Fredonia, and there was only like 7,000 to 9,000 students at the time. That tells you how small the town was, since the college was that small. His family comprised the entire town, basically. So everybody in the town was a Thomas.
Oh,
when he got disfellowshipped and his family couldn't speak to him, he would walk into grocery stores, libraries, and they would have to walk right past him. Yeah.
So I'm just interjecting that at some point you realize that if you're being asked to ostracize a person, that's probably not your vibe.
Not my vibe.
Yeah.
I love them to you. You love people. You don't do that to them.
Yeah.
So it inevitably. So the interesting part of the story is I tried to get my new girlfriend on board. She wasn't buying it. She was like, fuck that. Fuck you. Matter of fact, here's a book. You read this shit and then you come and talk to me. And I actually read the book. And it flipped my value and belief system upside down. It just took everything I thought I knew and was embedded in that religion, and it just flipped me. I was like, oh my God. And I literally felt, I remember for 2 months, it felt like I was walking on quicksand because my foundation felt rattled.
Yeah.
I started studying everything. I started Islam. I started studying some of the Hinduism. I started Buddhism. I started opening up to just try and understand, like, well, let me venture out more and see what I had, what led me to this place where I insisted that this was the truth, and then came to learn that this was not the truth.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with studying other religions.
Yeah.
I don't even understand why there's a fear around knowing what someone else believes in and how that came about.
Yeah, because people think that they're gonna be damned. If they do that. And I needed to do that. It got me to where I am, and that's a whole nother conversation. But here's my point. My point is, so I veered away from the Jehovah's Witness religion, but since I had studied it for so many years, and I felt like it was taking my brothers and my sisters down the wrong path. And for those of you who listen and might be Jehovah's Witness, I apologize. You're welcome to call in and have a discussion around it. When we go live, we'll open
I know, right?
For it.
I love it.
None. I'm sorry. What you say, Marcia?
No, I said right. We're inviting folks when we go live to jump on and add into the comments.
Absolutely. But to this conversation, the conclusion was basically this. So I moved to Kansas City. My first job was with Hallmark Cards as a greeting card designer. And I had my own little house that I rented, and it was like my little. I was like doing my grown-up thing.
Right.
And Jehovah's Witness would come by, and I remember there was this brother named James who came by, and so naturally I'm like, I gotta save this brother. So I opened up the door. James came in. Now I didn't know he was with his wife who was out in the car. James came in and sat down for 3 hours.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna tell you what. By the time James left, James was asking me questions. So, why do you think this and why do you think that? And I was like, because this and this and this. James started rethinking his values and beliefs.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But it is, again, it's not scary to talk to other people of other faiths. I don't think that that's an issue for me. Definitely, it's not. But ultimately, it is. I think we're all trying to get to the same place, and back to your word cantankerous. I think there's some cantankerous in all of us, and really there should be, right? But ultimately, we want to get to a place in our own faith walk, in our own lives, that we embrace other people rather than see something harmful in them.
And judge 'em.
And I don't care what that is, your race, religion, whatever. Everybody's welcome, man. Everybody's welcome.
And let me conclude with this. You should always test people in the spirit.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you're faithful, it will strengthen your beliefs.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we shouldn't find any harm in disagreeing or being cantankerous with each other. It
I
doesn't.
know. I agree.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome word. Thank you so much, Gino. And thank you guys for watching us once again. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share information from our channel so that we can continue to grow. We love you guys, and we will say peace out.
Peace.